everyone, my name is Vina, aka Miss WOC Reader, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my March reading wrap-up. So March was very hectic. It was probably one of my worst reading months in a long time, which is interesting. I have to check my March reading wrap-ups from last March and compare them to this year, because even though I was unemployed last March, I kind of had some hope left in me, and I was able to meet like some cool authors in March and do some fun bookish things, and that did not happen this March. This March was just like go, go, go. I got to meet up with some friends, which was great, but the world was on fire. And even though I have a job right now, it's just like, ugh, I am not where I want to be. And on top of that, I hit with this huge reading slump. I was picking up stuff and I was having a hard time finding anything I could enjoy, and I was audiobooking stuff and I'm like, this isn't hitting it the way I want it to hit, but at least it's an audiobook and I can't do physical books right now. I can barely do ebooks. I feel like I've been reading some of the same books for weeks on and even months. So yeah, March was a time. So the first book that I read during the month was When We Were Birds by Ayanna Lloyd Bonwo. And this one is set in a fictional Trinidad and Tobago, but not really. Like, instead of Port of Spain, it's set in this city that's basically Port of Spain, called Port Angelos. And it follows these two people with this strange connection to death. One is like a Rasta whose mother kept him very close, and another is this young woman who didn't have the best relationship with her mom before her mother passed. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember most of what happened in this book. Like, I liked the setup of it. Initially, I was very invested. I liked the atmosphere. It really felt like you were in the city. I liked the descriptions. I liked that it was in Trinidadian dialect. But as I was listening to it, despite like a good narrator, my mind was just kind of wavering. And so I am not really sure what I feel about it, because I was at the point where I'm just like, okay, that happened, but I never found myself fully invested in the story. Then after When We Were Birds, I'm like, I need something different. And I was actually getting my hair braided, so I'm like, I'm gonna listen to an audiobook. And I have access to the Harlequin audiobooks through NetGalley, and I'm just like, okay. I saw Unlikely Neighbors by Renee Danielle Flogler. I'm like, I never heard of her. Maybe she's a new author. This is their Afterglow imprint. She's not a new author. My mistake. She's written many books, and also she wrote for Harlequin in the past under Harlequin Kamani. So not a new author at all. Very experienced. I did not love this romance, and I really wanted to. So basically, we're following this woman who is from South Carolina. You know, she's a very southern girl, and she's like, I'm just going to move to Charleston. That's as much big city as I need, and just kind of like start my life anew. She was adopted and had a good adoptive mother and sister, and she finds out that her birth aunt passed and left her this brownstone in Brooklyn. So she goes up there to deal with that. She's just expecting to go up there, take care of the paperwork, and sell it. And she ends up starting up a relationship with her sexy neighbor. And like, they had a little bit of chemistry, but it never really like clicked. It wasn't like smoking. He is at a crossroads in his life where he had this great job where he was making big money as a CEO, and then he got fired, and he's trying to figure out his next move. And he's trying to help her get acclimated with the city, show her the good things that New York has to offer, although everything I feel like he showed her was the touristy things that New York has to offer, that the people who actually like born and raised there don't really, you know, experience as much. So like it felt like we were getting the transplants view of New York the whole time. But also there was a lot of intrigue. Like in the middle of the book, I'm like, oh, secrets are coming out. This is some messy family drama. Like she finds out some stuff about her birth mom and her adopted mom that just like blows her mind. But I don't feel like we ever fully dealt with it properly in this book. Like we needed some more conversations to go on here. We needed some more exploration. Um, Part of the reason why she even like started looking into her birth family was because she had a breast cancer scare. That part kind of goes away and doesn't come back for a while in the story. So that was weird too. Like there there were all the pieces here for a great like heartwarming romance, and it just never fully clicked. So continuing my romance streak, I said I have so many Jackie Lau books, like it's ridiculous. I have quite a few of her self-published books on Kindle just from days she's given them for free for different events and stuff. And then I have like a stack of her traditionally published books just from getting them from various publishers. So I'm like, I need to read more of her work because the books that I had read from her previously, they were both in the same series and they were just too meta and tropey for me, and I didn't like it. And I'm realizing meta and tropey is just like really her thing. Like it's like she picks together these tropes and like that's how she writes her book. And she likes for her characters to mention these tropes. And I had this one, I had the audiobook and the ebook because the publisher just like sent them to me. And I'm like, okay, let me give this one a try because I'm looking for something audio because again, I was having trouble reading. And I was listening to the audiobook like on my way to work, which is actually a really short drive, and then when I would be driving around during lunchtime, and then on my way home, and then finally I decided I've been listening to it piece here and there, let me just sit down and listen to the whole thing. And unfortunately I did not love Love, Lies, and Cherry Pie as much as I wanted to. First of all, there was really no cherry pie. I don't know why that was in the title. Cherry pie got mentioned probably all of 5 times. And it's mostly in that there was a cherry pie milkshake she really wanted to try. But other than that, it had no significance to the story. It's not like anybody here was a baker. Emily, who is the main character, was actually a writer. And I actually really don't like books with writers. I'm finding I don't like these romances with librarians or just book lovers in general because I feel like I'm reading book Twitter in written form. She spent so much time info dumping about the publishing industry and how it works and the unfairness of it all, and this drama happened on social media and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, for people who aren't that invested, and even I who am invested, I just don't care. Like, this was just way too much info that your average reader does not need to know about any industry, let alone the publishing industry. Like, we just don't care enough about the inner workings, and it was so much focused on the unfairness of the publishing industry. I cannot remember what types of books that this character actually writes or what the book she was writing was actually about, because every single day it was like, I sat at my computer to get work done and I got nothing done. I got distracted by this, I got distracted by that, which yes, happens as a writer all the time, but it's not great to read in a book. And I definitely identify with the plight of being an author of color and the struggle that comes with it, but also it's not great to read in a book. And I don't need you to explain to me everything that's going on. This was not a panel discussion. And I find that's what tends to happen lately with these contemporary romances where we have these book-related characters. Like, it feels like I'm reading a panel discussion about diversity in publishing when that's not what it should be at all. So Emily is a woman who is in her early to mid 30s, and she's feeling the pressure because she's not where she wants to be in life, which a lot of people can relate to. Like, that should have been an easy selling point to get you to like her, because she doesn't have a car. and she really wants a car. She doesn't have a house and she really wants that. She doesn't have like a husband and kids. All these things she kind of saw for herself and that people are expecting from somebody her age she doesn't have yet. And I'm like, that's such a relatable thing to so many people in that age range at this time, that a lot of us should have been able to love this book. But she is just like so constantly complaining all the time. It's like Debbie Downer. Like, you don't read a book to just, like, you read a book like this to escape, not to just like be hit in the face with your problems over and over again. It's like she thought she wouldn't be complete until she had a husband and kids, especially because her sisters were having like the husband and kids. And she ends up fake dating Mark, who is like her mother's perfect choice for her to kind of get her mom off her back. Like, also there's a lot of stuff about how strict Asian moms are, which I'm a little tired of that trope too. But like, they didn't have a lot of chemistry, so by the time like they actually got together as a couple, I'm just like, whatever. I didn't care. Next, we have a book which I even wrote in my Goodreads review. I'm not really sure how to rate or even discuss this one. I read Tiny Threads by Lilium Rivera, which I have read a book by the author before. I can't even remember what attracted me to this book. I remember seeing it, but I don't remember where I saw it or who I saw it from. But I was like, oh, thriller set in the fashion industry. That's intriguing. And whew, this book was a doozy. It was not what I expected at all. I feel like the fashion industry could have been utilized a little bit better than it was. Basically, we're following this young woman who is like a reporter working on a story about this popular designer. Well, he was popular back in the day. He's kind of like old and not as popular now, and he's trying to make a comeback. And then it becomes this tale of like rape culture in the fashion industry and her own trauma, like stemming back like family trauma with sexual assault. And there was just a lot of rape on page that I did not expect. And it was like weird because like this was also marketed as a horror, and I'm like, no. I mean, not that the acts in it weren't horrifying, but like there was like this weird paranormal imagery that they were trying to market this like as a horror or like a supernatural thriller. I'm like, well, it's not that it was a supernatural thriller. It's just like she's an unreliable narrator and she's drinking and doing drugs and getting roofied, and you like she starts hallucinating stuff, and it's weird, and you can't really like make sense of it. Like, at first she is drinking so much to cope with her trauma, you aren't really sure what's happening the first time, and then you're like, oh no, I understand exactly what's happening. And like, I see the message the author was trying to convey, but I didn't love the execution. So then I read Shoot Your Shot by Lexi LaFleur Brown, because I'm like, you know, I was hearing about this book, and she was getting a lot of attention because she is like a hockey influencer. Her husband actually played professionally, and she was, I guess, very vocal about how hockey romance is written. And I'm like, okay, so she was a hockey wag. That is good, because I feel like wags are better at writing sports romance as far as the technical side. Because even if I know nothing about the sports, because I'm not a sports girly, I still want it to like make sense, and for the sports to be a part of the sports romance. Like, if you're telling me it's a hockey romance, I want to see hockey on page. And I thought she did a great job with like giving you the superstitions and explaining different things about hockey that somebody like me wouldn't know, or if you are a hockey fan, you would know and appreciate being in there. And also, I thought that they had good chemistry together. So we're following Jalen and Lucy. Jalen is a professional hockey player. He's down on his luck. He's not sure if he's going to be playing professionally anymore after a rough season. And Lucy is an artist who is trying for a tattoo apprenticeship. And they end up meeting at a club. They end up hooking up, had a great time. he ends up getting this call like, oh no, you are going to be on this team. And he's like, okay, she was my good luck charm. Well, she ends up having to do a mural at the stadium, and they cross paths again. He's like, we don't even have to sleep together anymore. I just like need you to be my good luck charm, like text you like before the games and stuff like that. So they strike up a friendship without those extra strings attached, which I really appreciated. Also, like, I liked how she was bisexual and open about it. We really got into her preferences and stuff. She had a lot of queer friends, and they made jokes that felt like realistic, like nothing was sugar coated, which I also really enjoyed. So I ended up enjoying this one a lot more than I thought I would. I'm like, oh, this is cool. It lagged for me like a little bit towards the end, but overall I think this was actually a pretty cute hockey romance. And then to round out the month, I read Rooted, The American Legacy of Land Theft and the Modern Movement of Black Land Ownership by Bria Baker. So backstory for this one, I had not had this one on my radar at all, but what happened is her video came up as a recommendation on YouTube for me from an interview she did on The Breakfast Club. So basically her mom had called into The Breakfast Club and was really like pitching her book to them. She's like, my daughter heard this book and she's not getting enough sales because she has to get like 6,000 sales before it to hit a bestseller list, and really selling her at, and her mom had actually like passed her book on previously to a producer at The Breakfast Club, and that producer had passed her book on to Charlemagne, so he had read it. He's like, oh yeah, I know your daughter's book, I read it. She was talking about some like really good stuff there. And then they ended up setting up an interview with Bria and bringing her on, which I was impressed by the interview. Like, they were talking about a lot of history we don't talk about, and that inspired me to pick up this book. So she talks a lot about the history of North Carolina that has gotten buried, because I feel like we're so used to like South Carolina when it comes to a lot of the big events, but like no, North Carolina has their own history too. She talks about Black history in Kentucky and what land ownership not only looked like for her family but other families as well. She gives different accounts from various people and sources, and I learned a lot about these different communities in different parts of the rural South. She specifically focuses on land ownership in the rural South because a lot of Black people do live in the rural South, but we tend to just focus on the major cities. And I thought it was a great companion to the conversation that has been happening for the past couple of years about land ownership and farming and all that great stuff. So I had listened to the audiobook and I really enjoyed it. I feel like I learned a lot. I feel inspired in some ways. And I would actually like to look into some more of the history here, or see some more of like the history expressed in this book reflected in other books. So that was everything that I read during the month of March. I am hoping that April is a much better reading month, although we're like 3 days in and I have not finished the book yet. But you know, life, work, less free time, but we're getting through it. I do have a lot of books I'm in the middle of reading. I am finding myself excited about things. I am working on edits for the book I'm writing, so I can't wait to give you guys updates on that. But let me know what your thoughts were about what I read. If you read any of these books, if you don't have any thoughts, I just appreciate you hitting the like button and leave me a smiley face emoji. If you like this video, make sure and hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!